A very good morning, Early Edge family. Thank you for being with us on a Tuesday. This show, of course, is the Early Edge, and it's brought to you by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas. Let's take a look at the recap screen before we bring in 4 stars of the show, 3 and 3. You know, we've had a lot of recap screens that have been right down the middle or maybe a slightly losing or a slightly winning one. We got to do something a little bit. We got to have a great day. It's been like a week and a half where we've had some mediocre results. And we're going to turn it around with the stars of the show. Let's bring him in right here, right now. We got a full team here. We got Zack Cimini live from Las Vegas. We got PropStarz from Parts Unknown. We've got Buckets. If you haven't checked out his video, you need to. We'll get to that in a second. And of course, we got the Sniper. It's the best for last. Sniper, how you doing today?
Pretty good. I did want to say that there are thunderstorms in the area. I will try to mute my camera, but if in the middle of somebody's take you hear thunder, I was going to say I apologize, but I guess it's not really my fault. But that is where it is coming from.
Fair enough. Well, so far, so good on that end. Buckets, I know on Friday, we're going to give everybody a little surprise on BPE Friday as it relates to what we talked about last Friday, which was you trying out for Survivor. Can you update everybody on that real quick?
On BPE, we will be releasing my audition tape, a little clip from it that I sent to these Survivor cast here. But I just want to tag on what Matt said real quick. If you hear thunder during your take while you were giving your take, that is the old gods disagreeing with your take. So that is a bad omen. Just wanted to make sure we all knew that.
Yeah, that's an L for sure. Zack Cimini, how you doing today? We've got 4 NBA games today. It's a busy slate. I assume you've come with a prop or a side or a total or something?
I sure did, but I'll definitely be having some baseball plays throughout the week as well. We're going to be doing the live betting stream on Thursday. Glad to be part of that again. And then, you know what? I love all the commentary about the NBA. And I was one of them. I can't just say everybody, but I was one of them during the regular season. This product is horrible. Look at what we're watching, but the playoffs has been fantastic from what we've seen with the Lakers, Denver, and the Clippers. Yesterday's matchup between Houston and Golden State coming down to the wire. Playoff basketball, this is what we want.
This is exactly what we want. And to be fair to the NBA, we can't expect in an 82-game season this level of intensity in the regular season. It's 82 games. Like, that's like literally not possible. PropStarz, we got 4 games today. I know you came to the show yesterday, and we'll have it on the recap screen at the end of the show. You came to the show yesterday with a prop, which we'll touch on for those that maybe missed the show yesterday. But I assume you've come with another prop in the NBA today.
I have indeed, and the only thunder here is the sound of thunderous applause when we give out some winners. So I'm fired up. It was awesome basketball last night. Jimmy Butler looking like playoff Jimmy. Wincing in pain, still just coming up incredibly clutch, making all those hustle plays as well. The Warriors look very dangerous, so that was a very impressive performance.
Before we get to our picks, and we're going to start with UCL with Buckets, of course, who's also going to join me, and Martin Green. And PropStarz, you're going to join me too on the network show at 1 o'clock today on CBS Sports Network. But, Sniper, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I saved you best for last, and then I forgot you. You were the last name I should have put in there. I'm sorry, because we're covering MLB, we're covering soccer, we're covering NBA, among other things on the network show. Sorry, Sniper. PropStarz, can I get your reaction to something? Zach, then I'm going to go to you. Real quick reaction, then we're going to get to our picks. These games have been really chippy, and I understand that's playoff basketball. Part of me thinks the refs are allowing things to get too physical. I go to the Detroit game against New York and the Lakers game against Minnesota. I thought Minnesota was playing tackle football the entire first half. I understand, let them play, but do you think, and maybe you haven't given this any thought, but now that I'm asking you, do you think they've gone a little bit too far in allowing these guys to play? Next to you, Zach. Go ahead, Proppy.
I prefer to see the referees swallow their whistles, especially come the postseason. I like a physical brand of basketball. I think it really lends itself to the intensity picking up. That being said, there is a line you have to eventually draw in the sand. You can't have guys, just playing tackle football like you said. But yeah, I enjoy this brand of basketball. I look forward to it. These games have been mostly very competitive between evenly matched teams. So I'm all for this brand of basketball.
Zach, your response?
Yeah, physicality, I don't mind. It's part of playoff basketball. I know it's spotlighted a little bit more this year, but missed calls, like Proppy said, that's where I draw the line. Luka Doncic was obviously fouled in the backcourt by Jaden McDaniels. That should have been 2 free throws. That sways that series to 3-1 Minnesota, and the same thing with Detroit, New York. You can't miss that call, as well sways another series that should be even right now at 2 games apiece.
The Detroit one was just egregious. And I just feel bad for the city of Detroit, because if that same thing had happened in New York and it was Jalen Brunson getting fouled and maybe Tim Hardaway Jr. committing the foul, that gets called 10 out of 10 times. And I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. I'm just saying refs get intoxicated by MSG and the New York Knicks brand, and they call that every time. If they're going to call that every time in New York, you got to call it every time in Detroit. Let's get to some picks. Buckets. We got some Champions League semifinals. I know you and Martin Green are on the other side of this. You've got maybe opposing picks when it comes to this particular one. We'll talk about it more on the network show, but give me your pick today.
So yeah, I'm going to give out my pick, but then I'm also going to give out rapid fire the 4 leans that Martin and I gave on yesterday in case people did miss that show. But for my best bet for the Champions League match between Arsenal and PSG, there's no other way to bet this one for me other than both teams to score. It's minus 130. It is a little bit of juice here, but the big storyline here for both of these teams is the fatigue is setting in. These are exhausted teams, and they are making mistakes left and right. Arsenal was this beautiful, compact defensive unit for the better part of the Premier League season, but they are leaking goals right now. They did get some rest in, but they still conceded 2 goals to Crystal Palace. They conceded to Brentford. They've hit both teams to score in 4 of their last 5 league games. They've just been struggling defensively. They did beat Real Madrid, to be fair. I'll give them that, absolutely. And I'm not saying they're going to lose this game necessarily, but I just think that defenses on both sides are too weak right now to stop anyone from scoring. BTTS is my favorite bet by far in this fixture, but a couple quick leans from both me and Martin. Martin is on Arsenal money line. I'm on PSG double chance. And then Martin's on Bukayo Saka to score or assist plus 125. And I'm on Ousmane Dembele to score or assist at plus 150. Just some different ways you can look at this matchup.
All right. Paul L says, can't spell buckets. Is that real? That was a sound effect. That had to be a sound effect.
I was on mute.
Scared the hell.
That was definitely Ben.
That's amazing. Paul L says, can't spell buckets without BTTS. You can. Wait, there's an extra T in there, right? Buckets. Anyway, let's move on.
Well, Bucket John Betts, what's on his screen right now, you can get there with BTTS.
All right. Matt Snyder Esquire. Yeah. Okay. Technically, that's true. Bucket. So you gave out some plays there. You didn't give out my play that I gave out yesterday on our special UCL show, which you can catch right now. I'm undefeated in soccer. The history of all my picks, 1-0 because I hit a minus 800 play on over 2 goals. I've got PSG plus 240. A slightly contrarian play. Just want to put that out there. Do not follow my soccer advice. All right. Let's go to our next pick. We're going to go to Zack Cimini. Talk to me about Franz Wagner.
Yeah, I'm loving what I'm seeing from him in this series. We know that Boston is going to win this series, but it doesn't take away from the effort that the Orlando Magic have been giving. And I'm going to play his points prop over 22.5 points. In the NBA, I think Wagner was overlooked for what he did during the regular season. He was 15th in the NBA, averaging 24 points per game. And that's been raised in this series against the Boston Celtics, where he's averaging 26 points per game. You expect Boston to be aggressive because we know Orlando is one of the weakest teams in the NBA from an offensive standpoint. So they're giving a lot of attention to Paolo Banchero, and they're kind of letting Franz Wagner get what he pleases, getting to the rim at ease. He's using his size to contort and get those layups. And I also look at the Magic with their limitations. They don't really have a third scorer. It's allowing Wagner to be a high volume shooter where he's taking 23 shots per game in this series. So he can get this on volume alone. I also look at the Celtics. They are daring him to shoot it from beyond the arc, where he has struggled in this series. He's shooting just 21%. But if they continue to step back on Wagner from beyond the three-point line, I think this could be the game we see some elevated scoring from him from beyond the three-point line, and he clears his points prop once again over 22.5 points.
All right. Wagner certainly having a good series. We're going over 22.5 points courtesy of Zack Cimini. Second chance with BetMGM. Maybe you want to put Franz Wagner as a first field goal scorer. If you like that type of bet, good news. BetMGM has an offer for you. Players will receive their bet back in cash as a second chance refund on any pregame straight or NBA first field goal wager when the player they wager on does not score the game's first field goal, but scores the game's second field goal. Take advantage of this promo for every game during the NBA playoffs, courtesy of BetMGM. Let's take a look at some SportsLine picks before we get to some more picks from the team here. We've got the LA Kings money line. This is courtesy of Tom Casale getting in to the NHL streets. LA Kings money line minus 134, courtesy of Tom Casale. Then we go to MLB, JLC, Jason LaConfora. He likes the Yankees on the run line in a bounce back situation at plus 110. That's Yankees minus 1.5 at plus 110. And let's see if Ben has a pick here, a producer pick from Ben. Ben, you want to come in and talk about this one? Because you're more than welcome to. You're certainly part of this Early Edge family as much as anybody else. And you have a pick and you've been hot. You've got the Clippers first quarter money line minus 118. Explain yourself, my friend.
Yeah, I think this is a really good spot for the Clippers. This series has kind of gone that zigzag theory thing with both teams, and we've seen the Clippers win first quarter in the first game, Nuggets in the second game. So after such a crazy ending from Denver in game 4, I think the Clippers get themselves together. They had 22 points in the first quarter in game 4. Not a great shooting performance by them, not a great outing. I think they start this game really hot. To get them as a minus 118 money line is just really good value for me. So I'll ride the Clippers in the first quarter in this one. I think they get out to a hot start after just a heartbreaking, possibly not a loss with Aaron Gordon's fingertips right on the ball as the buzzer sounded.
Okay, let's go around the horn here. First of all, Zach and PropStarz, I want to get your reaction to, maybe you don't bet first quarters and you want to abstain, that's fine. But I love this first quarter play on the Clippers. And the second part of the question is, I thought his right hand was still on the ball. I understand it was going through the hoop, but I thought his right hand was still touching the ball. Not his left hand, but his right hand specifically. And I thought you could kind of see that when the clock struck 0. Maybe it's too close to call. They called it fair on the in the live round there. But Zach, any response to this first quarter play or the fact that maybe that shot shouldn't have counted?
First quarter plays are something I don't tend to look at, but McClure is really good at them, and Ben made some great points there. So if you can find any angle when it comes to gambling, go ahead and attack it. That's my mentality there. And as far as with Aaron Gordon, it was tough, but to me, it looked like it was good. I don't know if it went through the hoop and then it was 0. It was almost simultaneous. I mean, you really couldn't. You can't take that away from Aaron Gordon. It would have been a huge protest if you take that away at the buzzer.
Yeah, maybe. PropStarz, your reaction?
Yeah, as far as Aaron Gordon's concerned, tie goes to the runner as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, I think the basket should have been awarded there. As far as Ben's play goes, sounds very logical to me. Outside of my wheelhouse as far as sides go, but the Clippers look like the better team in this series. Absolutely. So I do like the Clippers to bounce back here. And again, I think the Nuggets are reeling right now. The Clippers should be up 3-1 in all likelihood.
Yeah, I like this play quite a bit, Ben. All right. You said tie goes to the runner, and Snyper kind of smiled there. And I think that's a really nice professional segue, PropStarz, to Matt Snyder's picks, which we'll get to immediately after this break from our partners.
When you need your sports news anywhere,
we've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
All right, we're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas. Matt, we had a SportsLine pick, courtesy of JLC, that liked the Yankees to bounce back against the Orioles, partly probably because Carlos Rodon is on the mound, and maybe also because I believe Kyle Gibson pitching for the Baltimore Orioles. You've got 2 plays. One is on Rodon.
Yeah, and that kind of goes hand on hand. I kind of chuckled at that because JLC, if anybody follows him on social media, you know that he's a diehard Orioles fan, and he gets really, really mad when they're not very good. So it almost felt like, oh man, he's going to be, yeah. Anyway, that does figure in very well with my pick. I actually thought about going with the Yankees on the run line there. Rodon right now is actually throwing the ball pretty well, and he's throwing the ball well on the road. And the Orioles have been brutal against left-handed pitching. They have a high strikeout rate. They're worse in the majors against lefties, hitting 177 with a 491 OPS. No, not slugging percentage. OPS 491 against left-handed pitching, the worst in baseball, literally. Yes, worse than the White Sox, worse than the Rockies. Rodon in his last 4 starts, 8 strikeouts, 8 strikeouts, 9 strikeouts, 8 strikeouts. That sounds pretty consistent going against a team with a high strikeout rate, terrible against left-handed pitching. He is a lefty, over 6.5 strikeouts at plus 100. I must be missing something there. Hopefully not this play, because that's what I'm running with. Also, we're going to go into the late games, and I like the Giants right now. On Friday, I was badly wrong about the Padres. They are not withstanding those injuries to their offense right now. With Ariz, Cronenworth, and Merrill all on the injured list, there's only so much Tatis and Machado can do, especially since Xander Bogaerts looks like he's cooked. And there's a lot of years left on that contract, by the way, for him to be cooked. So that's a bad situation. But Padres just got swept by the Rays. The Giants look really, really good right now. The Giants are 10-6 on the road. They're road warriors. Logan Webb on the hill for the Giants right now looks like a Cy Young contender, as he has been multiple times before in his career. 2.70 ERA in his last 3 starts in Petco Park, so I'm not worried about him being on the road. And Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Padres, if anybody's worried about him, he is good. He's having a good year, but he's not 1.20 ERA good. So there is some regression coming. I just really, really trust the Giants right now to the point that I'm playing them just on the money line.
Yeah, the Giants play was something I looked at too. I thought the number seemed a little short. Can I run a couple by you, Sniper,
Yes.
that I didn't put in as official plays, but I just liked it? First of all, as far as the Yankees are concerned, one thing I know you like to do, and it caught my attention because it's close to even money, I think. If you wanted to play Rodon, but you didn't want to take the strikeouts and you didn't want to lay the run line, how about Rodon to record a win?
Yeah, the right after the strikeouts, the win was the next thing that I was going to look at before I even got to the run line.
Here's the next one. You know, I like to, or you might know, I like to pick on Miles Michaelis. He's been okay this year in terms of like, you know, the actual ERA. I mean, if you look at some of the advanced stuff, I don't think it's great. I think it's what we might expect from him. He's up against Brady Singer today. The first 5 there with the Reds is -135, which I thought was a very fair price, given that I think the Reds are going to be all over Michaelis. Now, you could make the argument that St. Louis might be all over Singer, which is maybe why I'm a little tentative. Your thoughts on that first 5 or that game in general?
I would lean Reds, and I'd be fine with the first 5. I did think about the Reds team total for a second. The reason I backed off was because Michaelis threw 6 shutout innings in Atlanta last time out, and that's a very good hitter's environment, much like Great American Ballpark. The other thing is it might be moot. These storms that are rolling through right now for me are going to hit Cincinnati late afternoon. We'll see. Where it might be good is if they have to start and then stop, and then they have to dip into the bullpens, maybe look at an over there. We'll see. That one's always tough to kind of thread the needle, but it is something to consider.
Yeah, the weather might have me off of that. Zach, do you have any opinions on any of the things I just mentioned baseball-wise?
Just the one opinion so far is what Sniper said with the Giants. I do agree with the Padres. Injuries are coming off their first sweep of the season. And this is a true divisional test for them because their only other divisional series was against the Colorado Rockies. So you gotta foresee the Giants having the upper hand tonight.
Last question before we get to more picks. We still got to get to PropStarz picks and my golf pick. Don't forget to catch the early wedge tonight at 7 o'clock. But this is a very square play, but Atlanta, Colorado over is 10.5. And it just seemed to me with both pitchers on the mound that it was a good time for runs. Again, a very square play, but your thoughts on that one?
Yeah. Do the Braves even have a starter listed yet? It looks like no. Herman Marquez for the Rockies gets killed at home. Like the Braves. Yeah, I'd be down with the over. Honestly, the Rockies have barely even been hitting at home. I might just look at the Braves team total and not trust whatever is going on with the Rockies.
They did have a listed starter, but it looks like it got pulled, or so we're not exactly sure. Yeah. About an hour ago, I saw a starter out there. Okay.
So here's an interesting fact for you on the Rockies. Before 2023, they had never had a 100-loss season. And they're definitely going to lose 100 games this year. It'll be their 3rd straight year. So 0 times in the history of the franchise, and then 3 in a row.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's an absolutely tough scene when you got 100 games left and change, and you know you're going to lose bad. Like pretty much the majority, well over the majority of them. All right, let's move forward. I'm going to give a golf play out. I like to do that on Tuesday. Not all the markets are out. They will be by tonight when we do the early wedge at 7 o'clock. That's with Jason Sobel, Eric Cohen, Patrick McDonald, and myself. I do tend to hit these top nationality plays. All full disclosure, I had a cold week last week, and that did include my Zurich Classic picks, where my round matchups weren't very good, and the plays that I had on the early wedge weren't very good. Now, granted, that's a much different tournament. I still was pretty confident with some of my picks. We almost had the outright in the Højgaards. They were one shot back ultimately. We almost had the first-round leader with the Højgaards. They were one shot back there as well. So a little bit of heartbreak there. I'm going to go to the top Japanese market. You can get this play, Ryo Hisatsune, at +135. The 3 guys that he's up against, it's Hoshino, Kanaya, and Onishi. These guys are some of them on the World Tour, some of them on the Korn Ferry Tour. Just not the caliber of golfers that Ryo Hisatsune is. And I will say this, when we're talking about the course that they're on this week, Rio isn't necessarily a perfect course fit. He's not great off the tee. He's not a long guy, which will help here. But I just think everything else, he really checks a lot of the boxes, and his recent form has been very, very good. Those other three really, they don't really compare to Rio Hisatsune at all, in my opinion. So I think this number is good. It was plus 140 last night, so clearly he's taking a little bit of money. It's plus 135. I'd still play this at plus 120, frankly, plus 125, plus 130. But you can get it at plus 135, and frankly, I don't think it moves much off of this number, so you don't need to run to your sports book. But Rio Hisatsune plus 135 as top Japanese player. You can get this pretty much at every sports book. Some are late to put out the nationality plays, but they all have them. So keep that in mind. All right, let's move forward. NBA PropStarz. You already gave out Jaylen Brown yesterday. Just touch on that real quick and then give out the one you have for today.
Yeah, so going to Jaylen Brown here, I like him to go over his PRA. This number has climbed, which I anticipated, but we gave out 28.5 yesterday, getting a significant discount on this line, considering he was dealing with a nagging knee injury at the conclusion of the season, but that appears to be in the rearview mirror. He played 41 minutes in the last outing, looked very good, averages nearly 35 PRA at home compared to on the road. So getting a big discount in this closeout game. I still like this line. I'd still play it at 29.5 for Jaylen Brown. Then moving on to my next pick, I want to talk about Sniper's Pacers. This team has been really impressive. They look like a true dark horse in the Eastern Conference. I've been very impressed with their basketball on both ends. They boast one of the deepest rotations in the NBA. They get contributions from all over the place. Typically, you don't associate defense with the Pacers, but they're playing very good defense as well. Just a lot of depth on the team. But I'm going to fade Andrew Nembhard tonight, who's really been one of their unsung heroes. But they're just getting so much production from so many guys. He's also shot the ball very well, 53% in the playoffs, 45% on the season. So expect a little bit of regression there. And again, just so many different guys are contributing, stuffing the stat sheet. 20.5 is a large number for Andrew Nembhard, who averaged under 17 combined points, rebounds, and assists in the regular season. So I think this is just a good spot to fade what is an inflated line in a natural regression spot. So we're going to go under on the PRA for Andrew Nembhard, over for Jaylen Brown on his PRA.
All right, we're taking the over with Jaylen Brown PRA, which has moved. We gave you that yesterday. In fact, we gave it to you before the early edge yesterday because that was on SportsLine. When PropStarz puts a play on SportsLine, the line, the juice, it usually moves. We're also taking Andrew Nembhard under 20.5 points, rebounds, and assists at minus 115. Again, if you want to become a member of SportsLine, it's super easy. SportsLine.com/join. Type in the promo code winners. You get 60% off the annual plan. Let's take a look at a home run chart here. Sniper, maybe Zach, you might have some reaction to this. We've got top MLB home run plays courtesy of the SportsLine model. You can see how much value there is here. And it's not a ton, although Riley Green's looking pretty good here. We got Bobby Witt Jr., we've got William Contreras, and we've got Riley Green. Any of those names jumping out to either of you, Zach or Sniper?
Well, Riley Green hit 2 home runs yesterday, so you want to go with a hot bat, go back with him again in Houston today.
And he'd been cold for a large part of the first month, and we know he's a much better hitter than that. So once it starts to go, then jump on because he's going to get hot for an extended stretch. That would be a good play. If they actually play, there are storms in the Midwest, but William Contreras at Chicago, Bryce Wilson's not going to go deeper than like 2 innings. And then the White Sox have a bullpen, which hasn't been horrible, but it's not very deep. So I could see William Contreras as well.
Okay. And speaking of Sniper, your Cubs are playing. Obviously, we got Imanaga versus Andrew Heaney, who's been very good for the Pirates. Rick Funcannon wants to know, do you like anything in the Cubs game tonight?
Yeah, I thought about Imanaga to get the win, just because I think the Cubs are the better team there, and they've played such a tough schedule. I guess you worry about them taking their foot off the gas. This is the first team that's not very good that they're having played. Heaney's been great so far. But kind of goes along with what I said about Pivetta. I don't know if Heaney's 1.72 ERA good, so maybe he's due regression, and the Cubs have hit left-handed pitching pretty well. So I like something on the Cubs side there, whichever way somebody wants to play it.
Yeah, I was the first when Rick asked the question, the first thing I thought of was Imanaga with a good game and maybe a team total under for the Pirates. But I do like your call on Heaney just regressing. Like I just don't think he can keep up this pace. And the Cubs have just been, pretty great, right, Sniper? I mean, this is the Cubs team that you wanted to come out strong, right?
Yeah, it was the toughest schedule in all of baseball for the first month. I remember when my dad and brother and I were talking about it, we're like, man, if they just get through April with a 500 record, they'd be in good shape. Instead, they're in first place and looking really good. And the rest of the way now, since it evens out, the schedule is the easiest in baseball. So we'll see if they start playing worse against worse competition or if they just keep playing as well.
All right, I think that'll do it. Let's take a look at the recap screen before we get out of here. Forgive me if I didn't get to all of your questions or comments. We do our best every day, and I'll do better tomorrow with that. Top Japanese player at the CJ Cup, Byron Nelson. This thing doesn't start till Thursday. This is just an early pick that I'm giving out. Ryu Hisatsune plus 135 for all the golf picks. Obviously, watch on this SportsLine YouTube channel. Watch the early wedge tonight at 7 o'clock. We've got Arsenal versus PSG. Both teams to score, courtesy of Buckets. That one is minus 130. A lot more soccer picks on the CBS Sports Network show today at 1 o'clock, where a lot of the people that are on this screen right now will be joining me. Carlos Rodon over 6.5 Ks at even money. We talked about some other plays that we like in that game, including a SportsLine pick that's coming up. And we like the San Francisco Giants minus 124. Those two courtesy of the Sniper. Andrew Nembhard under 20.5 PRA minus 115 courtesy of PropStarz. And yesterday, and on SportsLine yesterday, very early yesterday morning, Jaylen Brown over 28.5 PRA minus 120. Franz Wagner over 22.5 points minus 125. That is courtesy of Zack Cimini. Then we move to the LA Kings money line. It looks like Brandon Silva likes that one too there in the chat. That one is also courtesy of Tom Casale minus 134 and the Yankees run line plus 110 from JLC. We cannot forget about one of the hottest guys at SportsLine right now, Ben's producer pick, Clippers first quarter money line minus 118. That is courtesy of our producer, Ben Wittenstein. What a great show. Thank you for being a part of it, everybody. We do this every day, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock, and we always have a great cast, and that cast sometimes includes Venom. You absolutely love to see it. If you're listening to the podcast, that, of course, is PropStarz Cat, new addition to the team, courtesy of PropStarz. All right, on behalf of Matt Snyder, on behalf of Zack Cimini, on behalf of PropStarz, and on behalf of Ben and all of you, thanks for joining us today. Have a great Tuesday. Maybe we'll see you on CBS Sports Network today at 1. Maybe we'll see you on the early wedge at 7 o'clock. Either way, I want you to have a great day. We here at the Early Edge rest our case.